Serious, what was the worst thing you have ever accidentally overheard someone say about you? My dad said he wanted to disown me. He was ready to come home and beat me. He didn't know he was on speakerphone and I had to silently cry. I overheard my friends in middle school say I was the ugliest in the group. Not the best thing to hear as a 13-year-old. I'm glad things have changed since then. When I was sick and was just laying in my bed one morning, my mom asked my dad to check on me to see if I was okay. He responded with, "Shh, not my daughter." He didn't check up on me. I'm not sure if I misheard since I have hearing problems despite having hearing aids. I never ended up confronting them about it because I was too scared that I actually heard him correctly. DNA test. In 6th grade, the popular kids went to one kid's birthday party. Don't know how, but I found out about it existing, and my parents forced me to go. This was back when all the boys were invited to birthday parties, and I overheard the birthday boy telling someone that I wasn't invited. Really sucked. I once found out about my best friend's birthday party from the day before because they accidentally brought it up in front of me. It was her 18th and she was leaving for uni just a few days after her birthday. One of the last times I would have ever been able to socialize with her. The worst thing was that all 5 of my other friends were keeping it a secret from me too. I was once staying in a room with 2 others on a school trip 12 years ago. The rooms next to us had others from the school and there was a gap on the balcony you could crawl under to get to the next room. The other 2 went to play cards with the next room, but I decided to get some sleep. Trip was in another country and I was tired. When they came back, I was laying with my back to them, appearing asleep but very much awake. They started insulting me. Dumb b, dong, retarded, talentless, friendless, why do we have to share a room with him? It went on for a long time. Hurt me a lot, as they asked me to be in their room. I lay there and didn't move a muscle for hours. Promptly stopped associating with them as soon as we returned. If they asked you to be there, it could have been an attempt at a joke, but I wouldn't know. My stepdad insisting I was sleeping with my boyfriend, wasn't, and that I'd wind up just like my mother, pregnant at a young age. My mom got mad because obviously it wasn't easy being a teenage parent, but she did well for herself and for me. This eventually turned into a yelling match about why he would marry her if he had a problem with her having me at a young age, and him trying to backtrack and bring up other issues to deflect. Turns out he had the right thing, just the wrong kid. My sister, his biological daughter, had my lovely nephew days before she turned 18. Why is he so freaking ugly? This was told to my friend as I was standing nearby but wasn't seen. He kept asking my friend why I was so ugly and how is it even possible to be that ugly. No need for anyone to make comments like that. Hope you're okay, man. In high school I was in a terrible car accident. My first day back at school 3 weeks later, I walked into my AP English class and heard some girl say she honestly should have just died in that accident. Better for everyone that way. She was actually just mad that her boyfriend had broken up with her and very publicly asked me out, and that I had beaten her in an important writing contest that the results had been posted for that morning. I was still doing my work when I was out, just couldn't leave my bed. Coincidentally, it's also the first time I realized my best friend would always have my back. She hadn't realized I walked in and verbally destroyed that bee in front of about 12 of her friends. You better keep that friend. When I hear anyone call me annoying, I get self-cautious and feel like a terrible person. I've heard people say it about me a lot. I know the feeling. Annoying is one of those words that secretly and insidiously crushes you because it's not overtly awful, but the spiral of thoughts and feelings it produces is a slippery downward slope. She has lupus, so you should probably consider breaking up with her. It's probably not worth it. Said by my so's parents on a week-long trip they invited me on, with me stuck thousands of miles from home. Eat my dong, Pam. Eat it. How come she gets engaged, but I'm still single? Because you're uglier on the inside than I am on the outside. B. Got M. My mom swore up and down I was doing drugs in high school and college. She'd be worked up enough I could hear her from my bedroom going Sherlock Holmes to my dad why she was right. After a spat when I was 19 I went and smoked pot for the first time out of spite. My mom was convinced my brother was on drugs all the time because he would sleep in late, and once she found a container of rubber cement near his bed. Was dating my ex and was at her house and we were outside. Went in to use the bathroom and left them outside. Little did they know, the ground level window was open, so I could hear them start talking, and it went a little like this. Friend, I can't believe you're dating that piece of crap. He's freaking creepy. Ex, I know. I told you he's a rebound for Jack. Friend, as long as you get rid of him. He's so annoying to be around. I am so sorry. I'm fluent in Greek, but I don't look Greek at all. When I was a lot younger, I walked into a restaurant with my girlfriend at the time. The couple next to us was constantly talking about us in Greek, just wrecking me mostly, such as, how is this 1/10 with this 10/10? Musclehead must be on steroids. His pants and shirt don't even fit. I bet he has a small dong and small balls. Probably no money and is abusive. His parents should have done him the favor of aborting him at birth. Finally, out of nowhere, I wrote on a piece of paper in Greek something like, "You are hurting my feelings. I don't understand why you people are rude and evil. Please stop," and passed it on to them. When we left, the bill was covered. I would have shouted some unpleasant words to them. You were more elegant. Fresh out of college and in my first job, I overheard a co-worker talking to a mutual friend, also a co-worker, making fun of me because I was copying how she and her friends speak to each other when I talk to them. I just tend to mirror behavior as a way to fit in because I was socially awkward, but it was never intentional. It just happens and I usually notice it after the fact. It made me super self-conscious to the point that when I'm around them, I just try very hard not to have any personality at all. Eventually, I talked to one of our older and more mature co-workers, and a good friend of mine now, about it, and she gave me really good advice. She told me to use that little weird behavior I have to my advantage. Instead of surrounding myself with mean and judgmental people like her, I should surround myself with people I want to be like so I can emulate their behavior, which is what I did. Instead of hanging out with co-workers my age, the mean girls, I started hanging out with our more senior co-workers. I learned a lot from them and I got more opportunities because they liked me and picked me over the others. I'm 10 years into my career now and I've been the top performer for many years. And I still don't surround myself with people who would bring me down. I've always tended to gravitate towards the older crowd even during my younger days in school. I just always thought the people a little older seemed much more level-headed, funny, more mature than the people in my age. Not always the case, I learned after some time with the older crowd, and the fact they seemed to like me more or I acted a little older for my age. It's by no means the worst, but it cut me so deep and still echoes around in my head today. I was bullied mercilessly all throughout school. One year I thought to myself, screw this, I'm going to stand up for myself. The first week, some new girl in my class I'd never seen before started mocking me, so I tried to bravely stand up and tell her to quit it. But the whole rest of the class laughed at me, grabbed the new girl, walked off and said to her, "Erg, just don't worry about it, 5th 3M Wonkster." It made me feel so small and insignificant. No one in my entire school cared about me at all, and hearing my fellow classmates tell this new girl I'd never met before to completely dismiss my existence was absolutely soul-crushing. I can still play that moment in my head exactly as it happened, and it has been over 10 years. I can relate to this so much. Very similar experience here. Mine was 25 years ago. Took me years and lots of therapy to finally understand there is nothing wrong with me and that I just spent my entire school career surrounded by absolute buttholes. I hope you're doing better and know that they are the ones with the issues, not you. Big love. My stepdad reading my diary of love poems to his friends at the dinner table and laughing about how stupid it was. I was like 8, for heck's sake, and that diary was stored in my desk drawer in my room. I was absolutely livid. That's just evil. If I discovered my 8-year-old was writing poetry, but not through snooping, I would be absolutely bursting with pride. I hope you're still writing. Not that bad compared to other comments on this post, but hurt like heck at the time. I was in primary school and had one friend for years, and one day I tried to reach out to others to maybe get a bit more friends. Birthday parties were getting lonely with only one other person. Anyways, I found another kid that I got friendly with and I thought they genuinely wanted me as a friend too, until I overheard them talking to one of the popular kids saying, "No, don't worry, I only thought of my name as a backup anyways." They henceforth avoided eye contact and never spoke with me again, as I spent the next couple of years with my one other friend. That'd still sting pretty bad, man. This is why you're going to college, so you're not doing what she is. Some dad to his high school kid while I was waiting tables. It paid my way through undergrad and first year of my masters before I found a job in my related field. You go, girl. Had a panic attack and didn't want to go to an audition. Dad forced me to go. Later overheard him call me a disappointment. He didn't talk to me for a month after that. Thanks, Pops. That sucks. I was 8 and heard my mom tell her boyfriend that I was fat because I was sad and I ate so much because it made me feel better. That's just unnecessarily mean now. There's something wrong with her. 4th grade. Just diagnosed with learning disability. Thank you, teacher. My teacher told this to my parents with me present. That's how they discovered I am dyslexic. It's not always a bad thing, especially when teachers are not aware that you have disabilities. I overheard my ex and his friend planning to pressure me into having sex with him and bragging that they were successful. I overheard my dad telling my brother he would not help me if I vomited from an anxiety attack. Me and my after were having a very rocky time because I was leaving university and couldn't find a job. We fixed it, but it still hurts. I never told him that I actually have general anxiety disorder and I doubt I ever will. My mom overheard that her mother was raped and that's how she came to be. She heard it from her aunts talking to one another. She now tells me to be very careful when talking about my 6-year-old cousin's father who was a drug dealer and is now in prison. That I'm not supposed to be born. Originally my father didn't want another child beside my older brother, but my mother unexpectedly got pregnant with me. When I overheard this I was crushed. I know he loves me though, but because of this, whenever the family situation isn't good, I often think, would it be better for my family if I never been born? My dad loves my siblings and but he said he regrets having kids because it ruined his life. That hurt a lot. I had my head down in class and overheard 2 girls talking about how I smelled. That really got to me, especially since I'm a borderline germaphobe. After that I doubled up on everything like showers, oral hygiene, face washing, etc. Every day at school I would always worry about how I smelled and it would make me slightly depressed at times and give me anxiety about going to that class. To this day I still feel insecure about how I smell to others. If you were already taking good care of your hygiene, I just think they are just stupid for saying how you smell. They could have also been talking about themselves. I was out with my friends and we met his girlfriend and a whole bunch of her friends. Going to an all-boys school and being ostracized by my friends outside of school hours led to me being socially awkward around girls. I always tried to make some small talk just to get to know people and stuff. It was difficult for me but I did it when I could force myself to talk. Anyway, we were all at my friend's house. I left the room to use the toilet but remembered my phone needed charging and turned back and overheard them discussing how weird I was. Not a single backup from my friends. Went up to use the toilet, went a wee then and sat just trying not to cry. Ended up going downstairs, picking up my phone and walking 10 miles home. Texted my friend saying I heard you lot. Thanks for not defending me. I guess you're only a friend when Fanny isn't involved. Haven't spoken to any of them for 10 years and TBH I couldn't care less. Man, that sucks. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise. At least now you have better and more trustworthy friends. My mom was talking to her friends and she told them behind my back that I'm not really gay and they shouldn't believe me if I say that I'm gay because I'm just looking for attention. I wouldn't say worse, but it's not nice. My mom weighs about 140 kgs, has had both hips and a knee replaced, went through menopause at 37 and has all these other ailments like osteoarthritis and fatty liver disease. She'd rather pop a pill than do anything else to somehow ease her illnesses, and the primary thing that would contribute to a better life is her losing the weight. I have had a laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy 5 years ago, suffered with PCOS since 11, and so still didn't lose weight as much as other women, and have now been keto for 3 years after finding out I had serious food allergies, wheat, yeast, soy. So I'm very mindful of food, nutrition, exercise, etc. I do Olympic weightlifting 3 times per week, strength training, horse riding and yoga for physical and mental health. I've lost over 45 kgs on my journey and improved my life significantly. As a result, I've also had to buy clothing that fits and get used to wearing things more form-fitting. So over Christmas mum bought me all these things from a store that was size XXXL. I think that would be 2022, or at the store she purchased from. I could see just looking at the garment it wouldn't fit, but in my mum's eyes I'm as fat as her. So I tell her it doesn't fit and she doesn't believe me until I put the pajama pants on and pull the waistband over my head. Instead of laughing about it, she got pee off. We went to that store to change the items, but being that I've not purchased from them before, I didn't know what size I would fit. So I'm trying 2 sizes and she purposely wants me to wear the larger size. I do a few swaps and put the smaller size on and she says, oh that's lovely, and when I tell her it's the smaller size she says it's grabbing at the back. It wasn't. So I hear the sales lady come up and she asks my mum if I'm okay, and my mum says she's lost a little bit of weight and wants to wear everything tighter now. I couldn't believe it. I took everything off and opened the curtain and threw them back at her and told her she could buy something for herself with a credit from the store. Freaking rude. Condescending B. It's your mum and you don't want to think she's jealous or dislikes you, but more and more I think she doesn't like me at all if she can behave like that. My husband says she's jealous because she can't even bend to tie her shoes, let alone walk even 100 meters without panting like she ran a marathon. I'm sorry to hear that. Congratulations on gaining your health. You have worked hard. I got called a fat ugly bee by my mom because I did not wear the shirt she had gotten me. She was talking to my dad and he put her in speaker. When I was recovering from anorexia and managed to get to a healthy weight, I heard some kids from my old school walking at the back of me. Hey, isn't that Naughty's Butter? Yeah, she used to be really hot at school. Bit of a dog now though. My husband actually told me what his best friend said about me when we started dating. They said, wait. He told me it was just like Arrested Development with Anne. He kinda laughed about it. I think he thought it was funny. I don't know why he would have ever told me that. It crushed me. I can't be around those friends without feeling judged or not good enough. I genuinely don't care if he killed himself. I'd be mad that anyone cares. A kid after I had a panic attack from my teacher screaming at me. Same kid who regularly slammed my head into concrete. Grade 6. I'd tell teachers but nobody gave a crap. Someone who I had thought was my friend was talking mad crap behind my back. Didn't know for how long, but having someone who I considered a confidant, which he may have been the only one I had at the time, talking horrible things about me destroyed my confidence. I still can't confide in people because of how badly it hurt. In college I had a couple of roommates who never cleaned anything, made lots of noise late at night, stole my food, one left his pube trimmings all over the bathroom. You know, normal annoying roommate things. After I let them know that I wouldn't be living with them again the next year, they found a new roommate and had him over to the apartment to get to know him. I was sick and went to bed early, so of course they stayed up into the wee hours of the morning, loudly ranting about how bad of a roommate I was, mostly because I play acoustic guitar sometimes. I know they were full of crap, but I've almost never been as angry as I was that night. Leave her a little note about the little things they do to annoy you for the new guy and tell him good luck mate. F***ing hypocrites. I guess you have to define worst. I've heard crap said that isn't true or is, but I'm not the one with the problem like a thing. The one that I would call worst was the day I disowned my husband's parents. Long story short, when I first started dating my husband they hated me for no reason and would judge me without even knowing me. Eventually they seemed to get over it and they acted like they liked me for several years. Then one day they called my husband and tried to force him to do something he didn't want to do. He was 33 at the time and still scared to say no to them, so I told them no. His mom told me to put him back on the phone. I did, but I was still sitting next to him and heard all her bulls that I was controlling and manipulative when that's actually her problem. To my sisters, you both turned out to be so beautiful. I don't know what happened to him though. Pointing at me, my stepmother said this aloud at a family dinner during Thanksgiving. I overheard my college professor say that I was too stupid to be in school. I have struggled with learning disabilities all my life, especially math, but I have always prided myself on working hard and finding solutions to my problems. I failed a math test and he taped it to the ceiling one day to show everyone how stupid I was. It was one of the most soul-crushing moments of my life. It also hurt that my other classmates thought he was a wonderful professor. I was too ashamed to report him to administration, but I still think about how hurtful his words and actions were. However, I finished that program and walked across that stage with confidence. I then went on to receive a degree from university, a featuring that no one said I would ever accomplish. I now use my phone and apps to compensate for a lot of my learning disabilities. For example, a discount app, a calculator app, a budgeting app, and I'm doing so much better in this world because of these things. I'm still not perfect, but I will always try my hardest to be a better person and to build a better future for myself. Well, it sounds silly, it is silly, but ever since I was 4 I cling to my older brother in a social situations, and so among his friend group I was the youngest and the quietest. A couple of them were over watching a movie when a child was killed in said movie. The oldest of them spoke up and said, "Raise your hand if you want that to happen to my name." Everyone raised their hands. I remember looking to my brother, and though he seemed hesitant he still did. I couldn't have been older than 8 at the time, so they probably didn't really get the weight behind their words. But I genuinely believe experiences such as those contributed to my inability to really socialize with those outside my direct family. I'm sure he didn't mean it at the time, just trying to fit in with his friends if he actually hesitated like that. But it still doesn't hurt any less for her. She looks just like her father when she's angry. My father regularly beat the ever-living snot out of my mother. It got worse after I was born. Fax removed me at 6 months old, for 6 months, because my father was holding me when he swung at my mother and he dropped me. She left when I was 2. I overheard her telling a social worker this quote when I was 16. It hurt like heck because I apparently reminded her of the man who scarred her for life in many ways whenever I was grumpy. My dad saying I'm a liar and a quitter and won't last in university. Heard this via my mom. That night he said to my face again. Had to hear that crap twice. She is just so weird. I don't get how anyone could like her. My entire 7th grade class was lined up on the sidewalk talking about how much they hated me when I came outside from going to the bathroom. I hid a bit behind a partial wall when I realized they were talking about me. I had a bad home life and became othered by my peers. The more they picked on me, the more desperate I was for acceptance, the more odd behavior I had. They acted like touching me was a game to see who could manage to stomach it the most. Begged my mom to let me go to public school. She refused. Now, after many years of therapy and hospitalizations, I have such an amazing life. I am so thankful that I somehow survived the daily degradation to get to this part of my life. I just got happily married to someone that everyone seems to love. I work as a mental health worker that is extremely well liked by clients, while still able to put up boundaries and does not baby them. I still have insecurities and mental health issues, but I'm honestly kicking butt. In 8th grade, a group of girls walking behind me said I stunk and was nasty. I'm sure they wanted me to hear and were being malicious, but I kept on walking and ignored them. After that day though, I made sure to wear extra cologne and have been self-conscious about my nose and breath. I was in my room and I had just finished doing homework with my dad. I don't think I'm smart, and whenever I do math with my dad I cry, so that probably happened this time. I think I was going to the kitchen or something, so I went into the hallway and there's a door in one of the hallways. I heard my parents talking, so I decided to spy on them. I heard them talking about why my grades are bad and why I can't do homework. They kept trying to figure out what learning disability I had or if I had one. That's when I found out they don't really think I'm smart, and I was right that I'm not. I have no idea how old you are, but having a learning disability and intellect are not related. Any person with any level of intellect can have a learning disability. Now if it advances unchecked, then a person can become poorly educated, but that has nothing to do with their intelligence. It's simply a factor of what they've learned. Best of luck to you. Just some typical snobby mean girl crap from my ex-fiance's cousins. I'd worked pretty hard to win over his parents after a rocky start, but had nothing in common with the cousins and only saw them once or twice a year while we were together. Before that I thought they were neutral on me since our interactions were so few and far between, but apparently they saw me as trash. That colored my interactions with them afterward and made already awkward family events even worse. Glad I don't have to deal with that stressful mess anymore. I didn't really hear it, but I caught a glimpse of a text message with my boyfriend's family where they told him not to bring me or something like that because I rubbed them the wrong way, even though we never spoke to each other when we first met. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.